Hey guys, my name is Margot, and this is my first ever booktube video. Because this is my first ever video, I figured I would just kind of talk to you about the books that I'm currently reading, because somehow I realized earlier today that I'm currently reading 5 books all at the same time. I kind of just want to go through and just kind of share what I'm thinking about them, and I thought that could be fun. So the first book that I'm reading is Crown of Midnight. This is actually the second time that I'm reading Crown of Midnight. I've already read all of Throne of Glass. I've read all of Sarah J Maas's books at this point, but one of my goals for 2025, I really wanted to do a Throne of Glass reread. More specifically, I wanted to listen to the audiobooks for all of Throne of Glass. The first time that I read Throne of Glass was several years ago at this point, and I was so drawn into them that I was just kind of reading them as fast as I could. I have the ebook bundle. At the time I didn't own a Kindle, so I was just reading them on my iPad. Literally, like, while I'm brushing my teeth, while I'm doing my hair, I'm sitting there like reading it as fast as I can because I couldn't stop reading them. And at the time I don't think I really appreciated what was happening and what was going on and the connections to everything else in all of her other books. And so for 2025, I really wanted to go through and take my time and listen to the audiobooks and really appreciate what was happening in the story and all of the little things that I didn't pick up the first time. I listened to all of Throne of Glass on a road trip that I did the other weekend with my sister, and I thought it was amazing. I had the best time. So now I'm doing Crown of Midnight, and I'm about halfway through. And can I just say, I knew I never liked Chaol. But man, I really, really hate Chaol. I can't stand him. He's just so self-righteous and full of himself, and just like, I get that he's torn between the loyalty to Celaena and the loyalty to the crown and his people, but it's just like so insufferable. It's just so insufferable, and like he doesn't know what he wants. He just infuriates me. I can't stand it. Just dealing with him is just a lot. It's just really grating on me, and I still think to myself, like, Celaena, you had Dorian right there, and you chose Chaol. Whatever. That's between her and herself, but I can't stand him. Yeah, so 50% of the way through Crown of Midnight, really loving it. When I get to Empire of Storm and Tower of Dawn, I am gonna do the tandem read because I did that the first time and I thought it was really cool, and I would have hated it if I had to read Tower of Dawn on its own. But trying to do an audiobook tandem read is gonna be very, very interesting. But I'm excited for it. I'm enjoying the series a lot more the second time around than I did the first time. And going back and looking at my Goodreads ratings for it, like, I rated Throne of Glass 3 stars and this book 3 stars the first time I read it, and I'm just sitting there like, girl, what were you thinking? Throne of Glass, I upped to like a 4.25 stars. But Crown of Midnight, 3 stars. What was I thinking? This book is definitely gonna be 5 stars. Like, I don't know what I was thinking the first time I read it, with it being 3. I don't know. Before I move on, I do want to say that I do tend to listen to audiobooks and then also read that same book physically about 75% of the time. I have a really long commute to work, and so I find myself just kind of listening to the audiobook, but then when I get home, I want to pick up on that story and continue reading it. So I tend to pick audiobooks that I also have physical books of, because that way, like, if I get to a really good part in a story, but I've just pulled into the parking space at my house, I know I can just go inside and pull the book off my shelf and start reading. So that's gonna be a kind of a common theme for some of the other books that I'm currently reading. Just like this one, Lucy Undying by Kiersten White. This one I've been listening to on audio for a while, actually, for over 2 weeks, and I'm only like a quarter of the way through, if that. I'm enjoying the story. It's just taking a long time to get through it. The whole premise of the story is about Lucy, who was one of Dracula's victims in the original Dracula novel. I had never read the original Dracula novel, and so when I got a couple of chapters into this and the story started to get going, I was kind of thinking to myself, I feel like I need to have some context for this book. And so I went and I just looked up the plot for Dracula and kind of read a summary for it. And I do think I feel like having the understanding of the plot of Dracula will help your enjoyment of this book. Because knowing nothing about Dracula, who he was or who the characters surrounding him were, I was a little bit confused in the beginning. But knowing that plot, I see where everything's sort of tying together and all those pieces are falling into place for this. This book is making a lot more sense to me now, and it's making it a lot more enjoyable for me to read. There are actually a couple different timelines in this book as well. You have diary entries from Lucy when she was a child in the 1800s. You have a client transcript of Lucy conversing with somebody in the year 2024 in September. Then there's another timeline in October of 2024 of this girl, Iris, who goes to London to kind of take over an estate that her mother passed down to her when she died. And she ends up running into Lucy, and it's all just very fascinating, and I'm curious to see where the rest of the story goes. Like I said, it's just taking me a while to get through it. So yeah, I'm enjoying the story. It's just taking me a long time to get through. It's just one of those books, just taking me a while to get through. The next book I have is A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross. This one's been sitting on my bookshelf for a long time, and I finally was just scrolling through the ebooks available in my library, and there was no hold on this one. I needed something to listen to in the car one day, and so I started listening to it. This one took me a little bit to get into and kind of understand what was happening and the different things going on, the sort of magic system that's in place there, and all the different characters and their positions within their world. But now that I've sort of gotten into the crux of what's happening and things are starting to pick up a little bit. I'm not the biggest fan of the audiobook, which is also why I think this is taking me a little bit longer to get through too. I'm about a third of the way through this one, but I am really enjoying it. I do not have the second one, but that's okay, because I don't feel like, unless something crazy happens in the second, half of this book, I don't think this is going to be one where I'm going to need to rush out and immediately go get the second book. I could be wrong. We'll see. But for right now, I'm enjoying it. It's a interesting little mystery story. The magic system is kind of cool. They're all like elemental spirits, and they kind of all coexist in this world together. And so I'm curious to see where the rest of this goes. The next book that I'm currently reading is Under Lock and Key by Lana Ferguson. I'm only like 25 pages into this book, so I don't really have an opinion formed on it yet. I've only seen like 1 or 2 reviews on this book so far, and they haven't been the best, so I'm kind of just bracing myself for that. I haven't read anything else by Lana Ferguson, but it seems intriguing. It seems like it should be fun and cute. Who knows? I'm only 25 pages in. I can't really say. And then finally, this is a book that I'm having a hard time putting down because I just want to sit and read it so fast and take everything into it because it's so good. And that's Beg, Borrow, and Steal by Sarah Adams. I'm a very big Sarah Adams fan. I have almost all of her books on the shelf here behind me. I love her writing style. I love the characters that she writes, and this one is no exception. I am just under halfway through with it. The characters are great with each other. The 2 main characters, Jack and Emily, they're both elementary school teachers at the town that they live in. This is a rivals to lovers. I'm not going to say enemies to lovers. Even on the back of the book, it just says that Jack is Emily's nemesis. So this is definitely a more rivals to lovers than a true enemies to lovers. If this book keeps continuing on the way that it is, everything about it is just so good. And I have to read you the dedication in this book because honestly, her dedications in her books might be my favorite thing out of everything in all of her books. They just make me feel so good. They hit something inside me that just make me feel so special. The dedication in this book reads, "Hello, little honeybees, you glorious, sharp-edged perfection seekers. You've been working so hard, holding everything together, come sit down with me for a while and take a load off. I read that and I had to kind of just like stop for a second because I felt like Sarah was looking into my soul. This feels like it's a book that's going to be written as if she knows me personally, which, how dare her, but also thank you, because this is truly gonna be such a good book. I just feel it in my bones. So yeah, that's everything that I'm currently reading. This was a very impromptu video. Like I said, I was just bored and I just felt like talking about the books that I read. So I hope you enjoyed the video and maybe I'll see you in the next one. Bye.